The second Baltimore police officer to stand trial in the death of Freddie Gray has been cleared of any wrongdoing. We told you about it yesterday on Happening Now. Officer Edward Nero acquitted on charges of assault and reckless endangerment in Gray's death. Gray died last April after his neck was broken while he was handcuffed in the back of a police van. Now, after 2 trials and 0 convictions, the prosecutor, Marilyn Mosby, seen here, is facing criticism that she rushed to file charges against the 6 police officers. Let's talk about it with our legal panel. Lise Wheel is a former prosecutor and Fox News legal analyst. Bob Bianchi is a criminal defense attorney and former head county prosecutor. So reading into what the judge said in this ruling in the Officer Nero case, how do you take the strength of the case against the 5 remaining police officers?
John, I said this from the beginning of this case. I have handled death in custody cases by police officers. To have filed these charges within 19 days after only having just received the preliminary investigative report and only just receiving the autopsy report was a rush to judgment. It was a politicized case. This case should have been gone slowly, I's dotted, T's crossed. It is no surprise to me that this was a not guilty verdict. And I think Lise will agree with this, the idea that they're trying their weaker cases first and not being able to get a guilty verdict is just amateur hour to me, not to mention her public comments, which were incendiary, unethical, and show that she was doing this for political reasons and not for law reasons. I'm sorry.
Just for example, so our viewers know what we're talking about, this officer, Officer Nero, was charged with assault in the arrest of the suspect, Freddie Gray. But Gray was already in handcuffs by the time this officer, Nero, arrived on the scene.
Right, so he was not as involved as some of the other people allegedly were involved, and as you said, the weaker cases first. So, you asked, your question was, well, what about the cases going forward? And, our system is we try one person at a time, so this case should, theoretically have nothing to do with how the other cases are tried. We'll have, each defendant is tried separately. Each defendant will have new evidence. And whether it's a jury trial or a judge bench trial, every case is tried separately.
Officer Porter was tried previously, and the jury deadlocked. They couldn't agree on a verdict. Does that suggest that for the remaining officers, perhaps having a bench trial in front of just a judge who is just looking at the facts and the law might be a good idea?
Yeah, because there's no emotional temperament to it. The judge is basically going to do it based on the facts and the law, and that's what this case should be about. John, listen, the community was bamboozled here. What happened to Mr. Gray was a tragedy and is a civil case that should be aggressively investigated with regard to police misconduct. But that is a far cry away from proving beyond a reasonable doubt to a criminal jury or to a judge that they actually almost, and this is pretty much the law, intentionally, although it requires an extraordinary recklessness where there was a significant probability of death, and most people that aren't belted don't die. This was an overcharged case. She politicized this case. She went in front of Vogue magazine and went out there and made these incendiary comments. This is the thing that bothered me the most, Lisa. On the comments. To say that she was listening to the voices of the people around the country and that she was going to bring justice is exactly what a prosecutor ethically is not supposed to do. You're supposed to do it on facts and law, not the court of public opinion. To me, it was outrageous.
She is new to the job. You think she got sort of wowed by all the publicity, the magazine covers, etc.?
I can't get inside of her head, but to listen to the voice of the people that you're supposed to be listening to are the voices of the grand jury, right? I mean, those are the people that you're supposed to be listening to and to be bringing the evidence in front of the grand jury and to be, hearing the voices of the grand jury.
The judge said that the prosecutors, her team, failed to prove that Nero did anything wrong.
Right, and that Nero really had any knowledge of the new policies and the manual of what he was supposed to be doing and the seatbelt buckling. There really was no evidence here to prove that this defendant did anything wrong.
And in these 2 cases where she can't get a guilty verdict, even though they are separate as you would suggest, takes the wind out of the inertia of the prosecutor's case. And I have no question in my mind about this, that the prosecutors right now are like, what's going on? So when they try this 3rd guy, here's the thing. These charges are very overcharged, in my opinion. That's been politicized, and one can only imagine what's going to happen. They did not do do the community a favor by overcharging cases, doing it too quickly. I've done these cases. It takes months to investigate them. How could you possibly do this?
Now, if you're a defense lawyer, you've seen that you're overcharging, maybe now you say, okay, let's try to plead these down. This would be a great chance for the defense lawyers to say, can we come to the table here and plead these down?
But for those officers, it's been more than a year of just tremendous
and their
stress.
families.
Yeah, that's a shame. They're being twisted in all this.
All right. Bob Bianchi, Lee Wheel, thank you both.
Thank you, John.